as EgoBoys will come in with the Clockwork as their third pick. So a little bit more of a dynamic option for that second support.
And we will see the TA picked up for Parker. And on paper, the clock is good versus AA and Enchantress. If you can get on top of either of those supports, you really have to be careful with your positioning. Otherwise, the clock, it's incredibly simple. And with the Timber Saw as well, just supply a little bit of damage, get him in the cogs. Really, Clockwork can solo kill either of those supports unless the Enchantress has a creep. It really does not feel great to be playing versus the Clockwork. But TA, another hero that we've seen time and time again, picked up almost assuredly versus that Clockwork, where if you start the fight on the TA, then maybe you can sort of get something out of it, but you always need to be careful of getting bursted. Jumping in, you don't have that armor, you don't feel very tanky, and if you don't have a lot of that farm priority, then this TA just kills you, kills your friends. I'm guessing we're going to see the spill damage talent. If you hit onto the cogs, it kills everything behind it. It feels like almost a soft counter, but you just have to be really careful with your engages because there's definitely going to be that punishment.
And EgoBoys, meanwhile, coming in with the Weaver pick. I believe we have seen them try this once or twice before for Rises in this event, so it's not without precedent, but you have a lot of damage and mobility, but you are going to be sort of vulnerable to attack. There's some lockdown on the Infamous side, maybe not a crazy amount of it. As of right now, really just sort of looking like the Centaur, but we see a lot of the time that TA, especially now that's being sort of shifted into the position 1 role, sort of go for that shard, try and pick up the silence, and something like that against the Weaver could really have a bit of an impact. So Rises, he's obviously going to have potential here. He can do damage, he can maneuver his way through the fights quite nicely on that Weaver, but as always, it's going to be a matter of playing aggressively yet cautiously. If he gets caught out and taken down, EgoBoy's plan outside of Timbersaw may just sort of fall apart around them. So very much a situation where his positioning will be paramount for EgoBoy's success.
And we will be waiting to see what Alone will end up playing on this EgoBoys lineup. We could be seeing him playing the Snapfire mid, but again, you kind of have to make the call not having last pick. At the same time, banning out the Leshrac, not letting Infamous sort of have that flexibility, because with the TA, they could still run it mid. They could still run it versus really whatever, even though I feel like it is most likely going to be a Parker hero. But yeah, this Weaver, it feels good. Again, playing on the two weaker supports, if you can get on top of the Eng or the AA with those bugs, with that Skakuchi, they're going to die. Also, one of the best carries versus the Ancient Apparition, where Time Lapse still fills up your HP pool. If you do get hit by the AA Blast and you are able to get it off, you will be able to just return. It's one of those weird interactions, and you won't be able to necessarily get bursted down unless you die in one fell swoop. And that's where we might see another hero come out on the Infamous side to sort of double down on that burst damage. And then the Weaver might need to be a little bit cautious.
Right. There's always that sort of trap to potentially fall into, but as we were sort of saying before, if Rises can just sort of play carefully, don't get too far forward, don't get too greedy, then Infamous may have their hands full trying to deal with him. For now, though, we are moving into that very last ban. Infamous started us off with the removal of the Bat Rider, which, yeah, just generally speaking, not a lot of fun for their lineup to sort of have to deal with. So the Bat taken away. One final ban here should still be sort of concentrated on that middle lane, as they will take out KXY's, or excuse me, not KXY, Alone Storm Spirit.
Mm-hmm. You just don't want to get outskilled by Alone, I think, in this game. Get him off of as many heroes as he'd like to play as possible. As, again, we see on EgoBoys how crucial he is for the game plan. Even when King Tekka gets off to such a good start, you want to have Alone to sort of back him up, be that mid laner that always goes to his lane, sees what he can sort of get in the terms of maybe pushing on the tower early, forcing the enemy carry to rotate a little bit sooner than he otherwise would like. It's just the kind of player that Alone likes to be. And with the Storm Spirit ban, it does also hint, or at least it feels like, they do want to run this TA mid, but I still can't imagine Parker's not going to play it. But maybe they are looking for sort of a cat in the bag hero coming out from the Infamous Gaming side and just swapping things around now that they do have, well, the last pick in the draft.
They do have last pick. They're going to have to be responding to the Ember, though, for the EgoBoys side. So between Weaver, Ember, and a Timbersaw, this EgoBoys core trio, they've got a nice bit of sort of damage and mobility to sort of work around. So for Infamous, this feels kind of good for, or excuse me, not good for them, but good for their opponents. The Infamous lineup is Not going to necessarily be able to match up with that mobility. Sure, you have the Stampede to sort of reposition if it does come down to it, but Stampede's on a pretty damn long cooldown. It's not exactly spammable if you do get caught out in multiple fights. So that may be something that they want to keep an eye on here. The ability for EgoBoys to sort of weave in and out of the engagements and really just reposition themselves at will is something that could sort of have their head on a swivel. So we'll see what Infamous look to respond with. We were thinking maybe it'll be Parker on the TA, but ooh, the Monkey King will be the choice instead, which really doesn't clear that up much. There we go. We see the selections coming in. It'll be Monkey King mid, TA as the carry.
And I can't imagine KXY can't play TA, so I don't think we are going to be seeing some lane shenanigans trying to get that monkey versus the Timbersaw. I think they're going to be okay with what has sort of been laid out before them. But again, second monkey of the day, a pretty unlikely circumstance, I think. And picking it up versus the Ember Spirit, it is an age-old counter. It will sort of make the Ember Spirit struggle a little bit harder than he otherwise would like. There isn't really a fantastic build versus the Monkey King. If you try to go for the slight build, he can always dodge at least one of them with the Mischief. If he goes for the Flame Guard, he'll be able to farm more, and I'm assuming that's the build that we will be seeing coming out from Alone. But you counterpicked Alone. You're going to really have the plays sort of be relied upon by King Tekka, getting that level 6 early enough, forcing the TA probably out of the lane. And the TA is still very gankable. One of the best heroes in the game versus that TA is the Ember Spirit. If you can keep up with the anti-armor, then Ember Spirit is able to really chew through those refraction charges and create a target out of that TA. But still, you got to feel like Infamous kind of have a leg up. They are going to win, or at least it feels like they should win most of their lanes here.
Well, there is one thing to point out. Didn't really want to cut you off on your roll there, but there's a bit of a positional swap that I don't think we really saw coming. This is actually not going to be a core Ember Spirit at all. It's Tano who actually grabbed it. They're going to send Alone to the middle lane on the snap.
I guess not. They don't want to get countered. Okay. Alone wants to play a different hero. I think, are we still seeing... Wait a second. We're just going to see a complete swap up. Monkey's going bottom. This TA is going mid. Yeah, they're just running it.
Oh, okay. That. All right, we're just gonna shake up everything here. Really, there's no telling who's going where at this stage, but it makes things a bit more interesting. As you said, I don't know. I mean, Parker and KXY, they can both play their respective heroes. So, if anything, I would say this is probably just a matchup situation for them as opposed to any restrictions on the players themselves. But it does make for some, I would say, more sort of mysterious setups here in terms of just how things will play out. So it's a Snapfire mid against the TA. It'll be the Monkey King down bot going up against, I believe, a combination of Timbersaw and Ember Spirit. That just sounds so weird, but the position for Ember, it's something that does find success every once in a while. I think really the only team that I've seen play it recently at all was actually Thunder Predator, but it does provide you with a little bit of lockdown to work with, so we'll see if Tano can sort of have that impact, but sort of defying expectations here early on with some of these switch-ups.
Well, in EgoBoys, at the end of the day, they wanted it, right? Infamous, they were going to play their respective heroes no matter what. Parker and KXY had already chosen up their heroes. All they need to do is change items. Of course, they could probably play each other's heroes if it really came down to it, but EgoBoys, I guess, calling the bluff, picking up these heroes in this way. Of course, we have seen Alone play the Snapfire before mid. We've seen him own. We've seen him be able to pull out solo kills versus players that you would argue probably to be better than him. So I can only imagine good things coming from him. But at the same time, you do have a pos 4 Ember Spirit. You do have to wonder what he's going to be able to get done. Because at this point, you don't get to play that sort of normal 4. You don't get to have nearly as much fun, even though they are getting pretty aggressive onto A in that bottom lane.
Ancient Apparition able to fall back in time. He brought a hell of a lot of regen to this lane, though, so he should be okay for now, but that is a little bit of a threat early on there. So King Tekka and Tano just sort of pushing their way forward. They're not going to be able to do too much to KXY right now, so bullying the Ancient Apparition is sort of going to be the best path to success for them. If they can force him out of the lane or at least burn through a lot of this regen in the first few minutes, then they would be in a position to maybe take control of the lane a little bit later on, as the Cold Feet will come out from A, but King Tekka is able to walk it off. So That is a combination they'll have to be a little bit worried about in the future. Cold Feet into Chilling Touch with KXY, maybe throwing the Boundless Strike in there as well. That's enough lockdown to sort of keep someone chained up, and at that point it would just come down to really how much damage the Monkey King has at his disposal.
And it is sort of funny, KXY ending up having this Monkey King versus Timbersaw lane, even though we have seen it isn't the worst. There are definitely worse lanes for everyone involved, so everybody will sort of get their farm, I think, at the end of the day, even if he is able to get those Jingu stacks pretty consistently.
Yeah, not a lot of emphasis on fighting right now, outside of maybe that one attempt onto the Ancient Apparition, so feels like everyone's just going to sort of take a step back, focus on the last hits, try and make some early progress towards those first couple of items, and then we'll sort of circle back on the actual fighting. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, kind of a similar story. Arises, sitting on 9 last hits so far, 8 and 3 for the Centaur, so they're not exactly clashing early on either, although as I say that, Michael may want to be a little bit careful here. Kara does not have any boots, though, so doesn't quite have the move speed to catch up.
Finding the Centaur as well, you do have to be a little bit cautious if you're really either of them. There's enough magic damage in this lane for the Weaver to definitely die, especially with those early points in Skikuchi. The cooldown is just so long. The punishment could definitely be there. But yeah, everybody's farming. Nobody really getting super hard shut down with this lane setup. Bottom.
A, jumping in with KXY, they're able to get that Boundless Strike down, and I think that was actually the exact combo that we were talking about earlier on. The Cold Feet, Chilling Touch with the Boundless Strike there for the lockdown, as they are able to find that kill. And Tano, well, he's not that tanky. He has no points up in the Flame Guard, so he wasn't going to be able to protect himself from any of that magic damage as he simply goes down. Nice first blood play for Infamous as they do strike first.
Well, and now KXY having the boots, he will be able to basically get Jingu whenever he wants. He's got a 9-stick as well. He's probably just going to heal off this creep wave, maybe after taking a few trades up with that Timber Saw. Queen Tekka will be able to get the levels, though, especially with Tano. Sort of.
Boundless Strike comes out. He's going to use the Sleight of Fist, but it's not quite enough. He still gets hit up by the stun, and KXY will bring him down. It's a nifty attempt there to try and sort of dodge the actual proc point on the Cold Feet, but it doesn't actually work for him, as Infamous sort of taking advantage of Tano's real lack of durability or mobility, for that matter, in this lane right now. He just can't move when he gets jumped in on.
And when you end up on these sort of suboptimal supports, it really feels hard because you have to do your job, and when you end up on these heroes, you only can do your job. You can't get too fancy. Maybe once the lanes do break apart, you'll find Tano able to get a little bit of farm, find some semblance. I'm guessing he's just going to rush and earn, try to get boots, and that'll really be the end of his contribution this game, because it really does not feel great to be the Summer Spirit.
Yeah, that was sort of mentioning, you know, Thunder Predator has sort of run it in the past here, but they've done so with that being the clear intention from the start, as opposed to this situation where it feels much more like your Ember sort of got shifted because of circumstances, and Tano, the man just can't catch a break. KXY's going to take him down again.
Hey, not even going to get the trade.
Yep, might go down, but he won't. Not enough damage from the Timber, although, okay, I thought maybe King Tekka would go back in to try for it, but he is going to play it safe, backing himself away. But up in the top lane, Kara gets taken down as well. Michael is able to find that kill, and he's going to get the courier snipe here as well.
And he just killed the Mud Golem. He tanked it underneath tower. It popped after getting the first stun off onto the Clockwork. I'm surprised that Kara fell to that. It felt like that was going to be pretty obvious, but immediately he's TPing back, maybe trying to find the Enchantress. He actually places down a ward here because he's sick of this Enchantress finding all of these creep camps, hoping maybe.
KXY had some trouble down bot. That's a good rotation as Alone gets in there, pushing Tano forward with the Cookie Stun into the Searing Chains, and finally, in this bottom lane, EgoBoys are able to find something for themselves as they take down that Monkey King. It's a heads-up rotation from the Snapfire, but now as he returns mid, the situation's a little bit weird. Parker's already here. Michael's making his way over as well, but with Kara in, I don't really think they're going to be able to actually commit for this fight, and yeah, Parker really doesn't want it at this stage. He doesn't quite have that much damage. No point up in the meld here, but Michael, you don't want to be here either. He is trying to back away. Tano, though, sitting on the other side of the river. Ooh, hits him with the Sleight of Fist into the Searing Chains, and Alone is actually going to be the one to get the credit for that kill as well.
And that's where Alone needs to propel his team forward, and actually Rises, he just got a soul kill into Mariano.
How in the world does the Centaur go down there? Rises dropped low himself, but he didn't even use the time lapse. He just got in, and Mariano wasn't watching his HP, it's a level 3 Shikuchi, and it's more nuke damage than he was really ready to deal with.
And it's something that sometimes Centaurs greed out for, this Ring of Health. He has a stick, though, as well, so I'm surprised that he went down in that fashion. And now bottom, KXY, Tano's getting bullied.
He's just absolutely feasting on this Ember right now. KXY, third kill in about 6 or 7 minutes, and getting a little bit aggressive onto King Tekka as well. No boundless strike up for a few more seconds, but once he has it, maybe he could get this kill, but he's not actually going to go all the way in for it at this point. He does hit the boundless strike, but wasn't going to be enough, especially without A there to sort of back him up. But we talked about Tano getting bullied in this lane. The Timbersaw's starting to get sort of pushed back a little bit as well. He is, in the end, still going to be able to survive most of these encounters, but you see him having to go all the way back to the base. The Timbersaw being pushed out of lane, especially by someone with a physical DPS focus, is very rare to see.
And it really is just the health coming in from the Jingu as well, and there's nothing he can do about it. It's just the matchup he's sort of been handed. KXY is also going for that Echo. Ooh. Yeah, top.
He had a 13 charge wand that he did not pop there, as Tano's able to take him down. That's a bit unfortunate for Michael. Don't know if that health would have been enough to guarantee his life, but it certainly could have helped. As Kara
in mid,
now in some trouble in the river. Parker, he's just going to find that one. That Cog, I think he was hoping for the pushback, but instead the TA gets trapped up right there next to him, and they will be able to find that kill. Now they're sort of peeking over it Alone as well. I don't know about this one. Alone's going to turn around, going in for the cookie stun, but he doesn't really have anything left to work with. The Scatter Blast had already been deployed. Oh, okay, hold on. Mortimer kisses. Can A dance his way out of it? No. It's impressive that he dodges maybe the first 1 or 2 shots, but eventually he does get taken down as Alone will turn around for that kill. Meanwhile, KXY in some trouble down in the bottom lane. He does have the Jingu up. He's waiting for the Boundless, but I don't think he's going to need it unless Kara... Actually, there is no unless. No hook shot, and the flare has already been committed. But now rises into the fight. KXY popping the wand as well as the Boundless. That's going to get him about half of his HP back there, and that's enough for him to back away. The Centaur, though, did actually pop the Stampede as well, so I feel like that was less about getting in onto Tano and more about just making sure the Monkey King was able to fall back successfully. But they do get the Monkey King away, and now Mariano and Michael are hitting up the Tier 1 tower.
And you'll see sort of the natural rotation out. This tower really can't do anything, whereas Rises, again, he has his Javelin coming out, so whatever hero goes versus him does need to be a little bit careful. But they're so quick with the rotation, they move towards that mid tower, and they have to be really cautious. And, well, the side blades on the Kara, he's just dead.
Yeah, he's not getting out. A needs one more hit. He's got it. Infamous able to pick up the kill. That does put a stop to their push in the middle lane, but more money acquired for them. 2K net worth lead here just past that 9-minute mark, so early momentum is favoring them as KXY is looking for a kill. They're going to try to get onto Tano. Can they lock him down here? Mariano is looking for the hoof stomp, and they are going to be able to get it. Yeah. Tano dead again. How many deaths is that? He is 1 and 5. This
is Alone mid.
Not fun. Speaking of not fun, yeah, Alone going to get taken down. A, even throwing the Ice Blast in there onto King Tekka, but at this point, it feels like the Timber's going to get out. Kara, though, may not be quite as fortunate. He is going to get locked down and finished off. Parker gets the kill, and this is getting a little out of hand. Infamous are starting to rack up those kills and the objectives to follow it up. And EgoBoys, no immediate response at the moment, but we do see a TP coming in mid. It's only Tano, though, so I'm not sure how much he can do by himself, but Rises is in as well. They're going to give this a go. The Sentry Ward, though, is in place. He has to be a little bit careful. Okay, can he actually get the kill? Yes, he can. A will be taken down. Quick time-lapse gets him back across the river, and it may not be the most valuable of kills, but Rises gets in and out with really no major consequences outside of the loss of the Tier 1 tower mid.
And Rises just needs to keep on doing this, play in the side lanes, get as much farm as he can. You have Boots of Travel on his Lone as well. Try to get what I'm only assuming could be that Kai and Sanj, followed up by that Blink Shard. Then maybe you're going to feel a little bit more confident. But with the way that this game has sort of started out from King Tekka, it hasn't even been a bad start. He hasn't been feeding, but he has to be so careful when he is laning versus that Monkey that KXY, it feels like he has everything and King Tekka has nothing. He's only sitting at 37 last hits. He really has been shut down, but he still wants to make these moves.
The gunshot in onto the Ancient Apparition, able to lock him down. That Stampede doesn't do him much good, but it is going to allow Michael to get in there, and they do take King Tekka out. So that trade, insanely valuable for them. Core 4 support in their favor. So King Tekka, you were just sort of mentioning the fact that he was sort of behind right now in terms of the last hit count, but going to be falling behind with his first death there as well. You take a look at his net worth. It's pretty bad, as KXY going to jump his way forward, trying to get onto Kara. They do hit him up, though, with the cookie stun, and he's just straight up dead. Mariano wasn't really in a position to immediately push in, as those cogs actually held him at bay, so
Oh,
Alone
Michael.
gets the kill, and now Michael's in trouble as well. Tano's going to jump in with the Remnants. Good stomp in from Mariano, but it's not going to be enough. Michael will still fall, but now the Ice Blast will be deployed. Kara should be ticking down here, but not before Mariano actually dies first. Triple kill for
And
Alone.
haunting this enemy there, if anything. But yeah, it feels like they got a little bit ahead of themselves. It was a nice double chain from that support Ember Spirit that really set up the kisses. And triple kill for Alone. You want him to be having this kind of start. You want him to be accelerating, and he's been making some plays of his own. He's been having a really nice time. And at the same time, you are farming up on this TA, and we'll have to see if she starts to have an impact on the map. But EgoBoys can definitely keep up with the pace farm-wise, especially with once Rises has that Maelstrom, once Alone has that Blink Dagger, then the farm really starts to explode for their team.
And that Maelstrom is on its way out to Rises right now. The courier delivering, but before it gets there, KXY is going to try to jump into the lane, but this really is not a fight he's going to get. Rises can just leave whenever he wants. So the KXY will just try and take control of the lane and farm out the creep wave while he can, but Rises will fall back. That Maelstrom is going to be completed, so the farming rate, as you said, takes a pretty sizable step forward right when EgoBoys are looking to make a surge here. They're still down by 3,000 net worth, but if they can continue to farm on Alone and Rises, if they can find some further kills here in the jungle as well, that is going to go a long way towards helping to even this one out, as Alone and the two supports are going to wrap their way around mid. They've got King Tekka to sort of serve as the other half of that pincer maneuver, and that's unfortunate. Kara gets the hook shot in, but it's only onto a creep, so now he's in some trouble. He's just going to get straight up picked off as Parker finds the kill. Now Tano, you need to get out. He's going to jump across the river, but
right into
here comes the TA. Yeah. Parker with the haste rune and the trap, able to just quickly close the gap. We'll be able to find that kill. It's a double for Parker. Meanwhile, KXY and Rises clashing again, but just like the last time, there's not a whole lot either one of these two can do to the other. But overall, the team fight will go Infamous's way. 2 support kills there to sort of bolster that lead a little bit as they get it up over 4,000. Uh-oh. Mortimer kisses. In onto KXY. The aim, though, is a little bit off, and that's just going to lead to a TP home.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
And at the same time, immediately into the pit, they have the double meld, and they have to make this rotation here. They have to get in quick.
Now, where is that response? We need to see something. The hookshot, though, not up for about 5 more seconds, but in 5 seconds, Roshan could be taken down. But Infamous are actually pushing out of the pit. They're going to look for the fight. Kara, meanwhile, actually jumps his way in, going for that cog trap. That, whoa, okay, that was a weird interaction with the hookshot, but it ends with Kara dead. Infamous really none the worse for wear. Michael takes a little bit of damage, but those Nature's Attendants will heal him up. Meanwhile, Rises going to get hit up by the Boundless into the hoof stomp. Can they keep him locked down? Yes, they can. Parker gets the kill. Double for the TA, and now if you're EgoBoys, you really can't contest this any longer. They just need to try and back out as Tano is going to get spotted, hit up by the Primal Spring. He does turn around for the Searing Chains as he'll now jump out of that pit, but there's really no more he can do. But here comes King Tekka, making his way forward. Alone tried to get over the wall as well, but he actually misses with the cookie, so now he'll simply TP himself home, but the Boundless Strike will cancel it, and Alone will fall. This is getting a little bit too sloppy for EgoBoys. First attempt doesn't work. Probably should have backed off when they had the chance, but they don't leave immediately, and they do pay for it. And now King Tekka's still hanging out in his opponent's side of the map. And he may pay for that as well.
Oh, no.
Boy.
Ooh,
Can he actually get himself out?
Nope.
A in with the Ice Blast. It just... These last 2 or 3 deaths, they've been so unnecessary for EgoBoys. They're making some weird decisions here in and around the Roche Pit. Maybe I can kind of understand. You still sort of have that hope that maybe you can sneak in there and maybe snatch the Aegis away from your opponents. But that one for King Tekka, there's really no reason for it. There's not a whole lot he was going to be able to gain there outside of maybe just trying to cut a creep wave or 2, but he sticks around too long, he gets spotted out, the Stampede gets them directly in, and the lead for Infamous will continue to grow off the back of some good plays on their part and some maybe slight mistakes from EgoBoys.
And a big reason why the Loon is so good versus the Snapfire is that vision game, but at the same time, TA is also completely adept at it. With the traps getting set up, they don't have the sentries down. They're losing that sentry war, and well, they're doing the chains and the kisses again.
Okay. That should be enough to take down Michael at least, but now Alone. Okay, he's going to be able to get away. Kara, though, is going to have to be sacrificed. And I said Alone could get away, but yeah, he's not actually making it out. Boundless Strike comes through. They're going to drop down the traps as well for the slow. And this Snapfire is not going anywhere. One last cookie push is not enough as the projectile was already en route. So Alone will be taken down. And now Tano, that's not the smartest place to jump to. He is going to be taken down. KXY picks him off. Mariano in there with the stun to set that one up. And another example, EgoBoys with just some not super smart plays, really. 3 heroes dead for a kill onto Michael. Not going to help them sort of dig themselves out of this deficit.
And you see Rise is probably not going to show up to nearly as many fights as he would to before, just because now they have that double Blink Dagger. And it really sucks because they hid that Blink Dagger on Mariano for so long just for Rise to get caught at sort of the penultimate there. And now I really don't know how you shut down this TA. And, oh, Kara.
He
well,
two-shots Kara. Oh, he does have a double damage rune, so okay. Maybe we can give a little bit more credit to the Clockwork there, but either way, the TA is just going to keep on feasting on that clock. There's no way out for him. This mismatch has been exploited really all game long, and Parker, he's sitting at 10-0 on this Templar Assassin, and he may be eyeing up kill number 11 as Tano. Yeah, just get out of there. Jumping back to the Remnant inside of the base, he will be able to survive, but he lasts all of 2 seconds in that fight if the TA is involved before he has to immediately run.
setting up on the Weaver. They're looking for Snap.
Ooh, after Alone instead, can they get him? Yes, they can. Alone hit up by the Boundless Strike. Jesus, that's a lot of damage. Alone just immediately blown up. Parker gets the kill once again. 11-0. He's beyond godlike. We are 17.5 minutes in. He has 11 kills. That's not okay.
And I really don't know how you shut him down. I felt like maybe with the Ember Spirit having a little bit of farm, you would be able to find some answer to this TA. But again, as this matchup has sort of progressed through this match, we see how bad Clockwork is versus this TA. You always get the spill. You always do so much damage. It feels absolutely terrible. And at the same time, Timbersaw not having a fantastic lane either. It feels like every single member on EgoBoys is really struggling except for Rises, and he's sort of sequestered himself to that bottom lane.
All right, Kara gonna be able to hook it onto Michael, but here comes Mariano in with the Stampede into the Blink Stomp. Alone and Tano both dead, and King Tekka just has to run. There's nothing for him to do here, but Parker's not gonna let him go. He's just got that kill. Oh my god, this is just an absolute slaughter. 4 dead, no kills going the other way. Parker grabs a triple kill on the TA. He's out killing the entirety of the EgoBoys lineup now.
And it really feels like you might be catching EgoBoys at their low point right now. They're coming after really a horrible group stage so far. They haven't been really winning any of their matchups. And you see, just switching up his items on the TA. He's just going to buy a Hex now. That'll be their solution to kill Rises. And if he dies to it, I'm sure he's not going to be happy after that. And when does this Weaver finally come online? When does he show up to the fights? Probably whenever the TA's died to something else. And Aegis is expiring in 15 seconds, so Parker might look to die, but I think Kara's just going to die instead. Okay. Are they going to kill him once?
No, they are not. Parker gets the kill once again. Kara and King Tekka both taken down.
Courier's dead.
Where was that courier? Was that going to the secret shop, or because Rise is on the other side of the
Kisses?
map? Alone?
Alone?
You have given away your position, my friend. This is not a great play. They are immediately going to jump in onto him, and Alone's just straight up dead. Okay.
And they have the magic damage. They have the ability to make some of these plays. They have hookshot. He just respawned on Kara, but I guess Alone wanted to get them off of the tower. I can only imagine that's what he's thinking. And he's working his way towards his shard now, but it feels like what wasn't that big of a lead coming out from Infamous has now grown to just this huge monster.
Yeah, taking a look at the sort of net worth graph, we can see a pretty kind of rapid rate of expansion over the last maybe 10 minutes or so. It was already a lead for Infamous. That much you can't really deny, but it blew up. You're looking at something in the realm of maybe 2,000-3,000 at the most. Now it's a 15k lead, and we've just gotten past the 20-minute mark. So
looking for the Hex.
There's really nothing that they can do here. Rise is going to get hexed up. He's just straight up gone. Parker with another kill. The man is on a mission, and that mission is to absolutely destroy EgoBoys, as they will find another pick off mid. King Tekka taken down. Tano, he's going to drop down the Remnant, so he has a bit of a safety valve here, but look at Mariano. He's already getting into position. Okay, never mind. They're not even going to need that safety valve, as Mariano was moving in. I like that play just in case Tano jumps, but instead they hex him up again, and Tano simply gets taken down. And at this point, if you're EgoBoys, what options do you realistically have at this point? No one among your core trio is even remotely ready to go toe-to-toe with any of these heroes.
And you do have Glyph, but I don't think it's coming. I don't think anything is really coming. You've got the kisses.
Glyph, Kara, that's a bold move. Is he going to be able to live?
He's gone.
Yeah.
They did kill the tree. This might be some sort of a go, but yeah, you have the ulti on the monkey.
Into the Hex as well. Tano's just straight up dead. Kara's buyback does get him back into the fight, but I still don't know exactly what they can... Oh my god. Kara, please. Please do not die there. He is going to be able to get himself out. Ryze is now trying to push in with this damage, and they are sort of chipping away at Parker. Can they actually bring him down? Yes, they can. That's big. That's absolutely huge. They take down Parker. They get Michael as well, and they're still going. A's going to fall as well. King Tekka picks up the double, and some signs of life here for EgoBoys. They're not going down just yet. That is absolutely massive to get those kills. I can't believe Infamous really left themselves open like that.
And I'll be honest, I don't even care about any of that because that was a double kill on a meld strike off of another target. So Parker is still just styling 21, 1, and 6. But yeah, signs of life. They are really poking at the fact that Parker bought that Hex to sort of disable Rises. He doesn't have that BKB just yet. They also got a little bit greedy, used that Stampede to get out of the Mortimer's Kisses, but then stuck around a little bit too long. And we've seen teams with the Centaur sort of sticking around after the fact and getting heavily punished for the fact that they don't have that Stampede. But still, 15k gold lead 22 minutes into the game. If they really want to, they could just keep the gas turned on. EgoBoys need to find a lot more kills in this sort of lull where Infamous have lost their traction on the map. If they can maybe find a smoke up here in the next minute or so, try to find a pick off on the separated heroes, that would be ideal. They can't let Infamous group up. If they group up, it's just going to be a continuation of what was happening before. And that's why they're looking for the monkey.
They're looking. Can they spot him? There's going to be the flare.
They got him.
KXY forced to jump down. He's going to get hit up, though, by the hookshot. Nice play from Kara into the pushback from the Cogs.
Yes,
and KXY... Manta's going to buy him some time, but he's still stunned up. He does have a TP, but he's never going to get the chance to use it. Alone finds the kill, and okay. We have something here. We've got something a little bit more interesting at this point. Is Infamous obviously don't need to panic, but you got to be a little bit more careful. They've given up a few too many at this stage, but okay. KXY buying back. They're looking for the fight. 4-man smoke's going to get them forward. KXY should be able to close the gap with that with that tree dance play. Does he have the talent? Yes, he does. So he has the extended cast range. He is going to be able to link up with his teammates if they find the fight, but EgoBoys very wisely back away, so instead, right into the Roche pit.
And we'll have to see whether or not the monkey will end up getting this Aegis, or you just give it to the TA just because she's TA. And yeah, Ag Shard is available, and I guess you give that. I would probably give it to the AA, but could be good on anyone, and got another kill on Tano, one for the road, as they'll probably just push into this top tower, get this last tier 2, and I can only imagine that we're running out of game left for the EgoBoys.
They gave the shard over to Mariano, so the double edge is going to give him that bonus strength as, that's a problem. No. King Tekka, well, he'll temper chain himself out, but the Hex still comes through, the Boundless is there, and yeah, he's not getting away. He bought the Kaya before he died. The only problem with that, though, is that I think that knocks him out of his buyback range.
Yep.
Not sure about that decision, but he is down for 35, so he should be back up relatively quickly, but KXY is going to take advantage of the timing, pushing in onto Kara. This Clockwork has been bullied all game long. It is a 14th death for the Clock. This just feels unfair. Kara, there's nothing he can do.
He did meet the wave. He did get the creep cut going. They are just going to ping out that top wave. They had a creep up there pushing it in. But there's really no damage that Rises could do at this point that'll really matter. He is working on a butterfly. He will probably have it before they breach the high ground. But again, they really need a miraculous team fight for them to take this one home. And you have to be so careful because he does not have a BKB. If Rises does get stunned up in any capacity, he's most likely just going to get chained to death. In which case his teammates really need to be there to save him. Otherwise, again, we're going to run out of game. Okay, Tano.
All right. Tano caught out. Kara tried to hook in there, but that's only going to add his body to the pile. Kara taken down. Tano, though, will be buying back, so the Ember's back into the fight for all that's worth, but I'm not really sure if it's going to be a major difference maker, especially with KXY now throwing down the Wukongs to actually act as a buffer. Alone, though, standing outside of that radius, throwing in the Mortimer Kisses onto Mariano, but it's not enough to actually pick him off, and now here comes Parker into the fight. Tano dead again. The Hex, it's just working out so well here for the TA. He's hexed up maybe, at this point, I think like a dozen heroes in these fights, and at this point, EgoBoys really don't have a whole lot left to fight with. Both of their supports are down, and Rises is still not in the base. We do see him TPing back now, but to what end? How much can he really do? As you pointed out earlier, there's no BKB, so he can't just push in, and now he's hexed. Not taken down just yet, though, but the Ice Blast does fly through, but here comes Mariano blinking forward. They get the hoof stomp in. Weaver dropping low, but he gets off that time lapse in time, so he is still alive, and Mariano decides, yeah, we're done with this. We're backing away. He's going to stampede out, but they actually go back in. Silence from the trap coming through. Kara taken down. Timbersaw in some trouble as well. His Timber Chain's actually kind of disrupted by his teammate's Cookie. That's a very strange interaction, but it's not going to be enough for King Tekka to go down. He will survive, but now we see Infamous just pushing their way onto the racks. They're looking for mid, and I'm not really sure there's a whole lot that can stop them. The Hex comes out onto the Timbersaw once again. Meanwhile, Weaver stunned up in the middle lane. He doesn't have the time lapse this time. He will fall, and now alone is going to be taken down as well. He'll look for the TP home, but it's not going to be enough. KXY picks up the kill. One more for Parker there as well as he grabs the double, and this one, it's got to be pretty much over. EgoBoys have no buybacks, and come on.
Again, yeah. They mess up calling the GG, and yeah, instant DC. They can't be happy with themselves. They did just kind of get worked out by Parker's TA, and I feel like they were really afraid of that counter. They did not want to come out behind in these lanes, but it felt like it happened anyway. Even though he had Alone on one of his signature really active heroes, he was getting some work done. He was coming over to King Tekka's lane. He was getting the ganks going, and we did see that one punishment onto KXY. But in the meantime, Parker had pretty much unrelinquished free farm and was able to farm pretty much wherever he wanted, and was not a bad performance from Rises either. He was able to get that solo kill on King Tekka top. He made the rotation to the bot lane. He was doing everything he really needed to on that Weaver, but at the end of the day, it sort of felt like they ended up getting outclassed in the draft and outclassed by their play. So what can you do? Also, coming out of that O2 versus D2 hustlers, you can't imagine that hasn't affected them tonight. So one more game.
Yeah, they seem to be sort of out of it right now. We see back-to-back instances there with the disconnect GG. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna harp on it too much. We mentioned it in the previous game as well. It sucks to lose, but that kind of BM, I don't think there's any real need for that. If you're EgoBoys, just no need to hang your heads. Don't do things like that. It was a rough game, obviously, but you got to try and power through it. But how to say this? Parker pretty much could have won that game by himself at this point. The screen says Infamous win. It might as well have said Parker victory. 24-1 and 11. This TA just never cared about, I think, anything that EgoBoys did to him at any point in this match. So you were sort of saying free farm for the TA. We see the results. KXY with double-digit kills there as well. So it's just an absolutely stellar performance for Infamous, nearly flawless, as they get themselves this win.
Yeah, not much to say. It really felt pretty easy. They made it look easy. It felt easy. It was a little bit sad for EgoBoys to lose a third one here today, but what can you do?
Well, what they can do is try to strap in for one more. We are not done just yet. There is a fourth match here for EgoBoys to play, and at this point, they've just got to try and change up something. I don't know how drastic the change will be, but after 3 straight losses, they need some sort of momentum, some sort of anything. So we'll see what it is they can put together, but at this point, I really do feel like desperation may be setting in for them. Now might be the time. Pull something out. If you got a pocket strat, something you maybe were practicing but you're not sure of, there's very little left to lose for EgoBoys. So we'll see if that sort of lights a fire under them, or if Infamous are going to be able to just march their way to a 2-0 sweep here to close this one out. So Game 2 of our final series of the day should be coming up in just a little bit, so we'll take a short commercial break, and we'll return for that final game.